Okay, looks like we're recording. And oh no! Hey, what's up? So clearly setting the camera up like that was not a good idea. Note to self. But I'm back. My name is Daniel, and we're going to be talking about... I don't even know what we're talking about. You know, I think an interesting conversation to have is going to be the console ecosystem. And what I mean by that specifically is if you own multiple consoles, I think it's important to figure out which ones do what in your little setup. Now, I've touched on this lightly in a few other videos, and I think one of the things to keep in mind ultimately is how you approach the multi-console gaming. And I think the most simplest thing to do is to create an ecosystem. Now, what I mean by an ecosystem ultimately is making sure that every piece of your gaming equipment has its purpose. Specifically, I think an easy example to show would be Apple. I think that the Apple ecosystem is not really a new concept to anybody. You know, once you buy your iPhone, you're kind of, that gateway is open. And as you buy more stuff, right, an Apple Watch, an iMac, even an iPad, the more operating systems you get, the more those systems can interact with each other and create a setup that is unique to you and fits the bill that you need to pay. Though, of course, with the Apple ecosystem, it is a big bill and you will have to pay, but that's beside the point. Now, the problem here is you see, right, and if you correlate to gaming early on, then you're one step ahead of me. Kudos to you. You're a smart cookie. You deserve to drop a like. Haha. Yeah, okay, all right, moving on. But as this correlates to the Apple ecosystem specifically, is we see a situation where if you buy an iPhone, if you buy iMac, and then you buy an Apple Watch, but you don't really wear your Apple Watch, you barely touch your iMac, and you're doing everything on the iPhone, well then yeah, everything else is going to feel excessive. It's going to feel useless. It's going to feel like you wasted your money. And now you see where I'm getting at with this being a gaming setup, right? If you own a Switch, if you own a PS5 and a Series X or S or, any other console, really, even if you're doing retro gaming, the thing to keep in mind is you need to utilize each platform. You need to dedicate each platform to its own specific sort of service, And what I mean by that is I will go ahead and give you my example here, the way I use each platform that I own. First and foremost, my PlayStation 5 is dedicated to my single player offline games. I do not play online on the PS5. Very seldom do I do. If there is a game that is, doesn't offer crossplay, for example, and I have friends on PlayStation, then obviously I'll make that exception, but that is very rare. Most of the games I play offer crossplay nowadays, all the big ones do, and crossplay really helps in this situation. On the flip side, my Series X is actually also designed for my big single-player games, exclusively from Game Pass, though. I do not buy games on the Xbox, at least not physically. I do own some digital titles, and going forward, my digital purchases will stay to Xbox, just because I feel a little safer with my purchases there, but that's beside the point. That is a me thing. But my Xbox Series S is actually in my bedroom, where you and I are right now. Hello. Okay, moving on. And that is dedicated to my multiplayer gaming. I have a 1080p high refresh rate monitor, so when it comes to games like Call of Duty, I'm able to take advantage of things like the high refresh rates. I don't really care too much about the resolution of the games. There are some titles that don't look as good. There's a lot more texture pop in initially on a game like Warzone 2 or Modern Warfare 2, but once those pop in, I don't have that issue because you're ultimately streaming those textures. But again, that is exclusive. That is specific to that game. So when it comes to playing games like Fortnite, right? When it comes to playing games like Forza Horizon 5, those kind of titles I like to play at my desk where I feel a little more competitive. I don't know how to explain it. If you've gamed at a desk or if you've gamed on the couch, there is a difference. There is a difference in how you feel and how you're able to perform in the game. Or maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just crazy. Let me know in the comments below. Now, moving on from that, my Nintendo Switch ultimately is my party machine. Now, with that, there are a few exceptions, right? The thing about the Switch is that it is a hybrid console, so being able to take it on the go is a big help, and as a truck driver, I do that a lot. I often get downtime, and the Switch is something that helps fill that downtime. So The Switch for me is something that there are certain games that if I know they don't have any performance issues, if they don't at least heavily get hindered by the performance of the Switch on hand, then I will go ahead and buy that for the Switch, right? A recent good example that I picked up was Catherine Full Body. I've been wanting that game forever, and it was on sale at one point. So I went ahead and picked that up on the Switch because it originally was a PS3 game, so running on the Switch ran perfectly fine. No content was missing. Frame rate was fine. Resolution, all that was good. So that's a game that I would go ahead and pick up. Some other examples are the Lego games, Crash Bandicoot The Insane Trilogy, Spyro Reignited Trilogy, stuff like that. Stuff that are more pick up and play, smaller bite-sized games, something that doesn't need raw power to be good. I would never buy, let's say, the Batman Arkham Trilogy that's coming to Switch. I feel like that would be too much of a compromise, at least in my opinion. Plus, I already have those games on the Series X digitally because I own them physically on the PS3, so I have those games enough, but that's, again, besides the point. But other than that, the Switch's sole purpose, as I mentioned, is it's my party machine. It is a system that plays my Nintendo games. I love Nintendo, I love my Mario Kart, I love my Zelda, so, obviously I want access to that. And between these three systems alone, that's not even getting into retro stuff and, all my older consoles. If you'd like, I can make a separate video about that. Let me know in the comments. I'll, go ahead and put that on my video ideas list. But the core concept I wanted to get across here is if you're going to have multiple consoles, if you're going to be a multi-console gamer like I am, I think it's important to make sure you have a place and a purpose for each individual system. I think at the end of the day, if you are sitting here with your consoles collecting dust, I think you need to reevaluate what you're doing and how you're using them. Because if you have a PS5 and let's say a Series S, right, I think that's a pretty common setup for most people who just want to experience Game Pass, for example. There's nothing wrong with it. And I would argue that there's a lot of people probably who do have a Series S alongside their PS5 who bought the Series S just to play Game Pass games. So, at the end of the day, if you're sitting here with a console collecting dust, I think you just look at it.
He probably had to look at it and say, look at that.
Just take a step back and think about how can I use this differently? Do I even need it? That is a valid solution. If there's a console that you own that isn't doing anything for you, then by all means, sell it. Use that money to get more games for the consoles you do use. But then I guess we're getting away from the multi-console gaming aspect of it, so, that is to each his own. Anyway, I appreciate you clicking on this video. Dropping a like helps more than you could ever imagine. Helps a small channel like me really get out there in front of more people. So, really appreciate that if you could do it. If you're interested in more content like this, subscribe. Click the bell, all that good stuff. And let me know in the comments below if there's any other specific content. I'm here to help as many people as I can get into console gaming, multi-console gaming, retro gaming, collecting. That's kind of my thing. That's what I do for fun. And I do that while being a busy dad, and I work a full-time job. So, at some point, I'd like this to be my job, and I can only do that with supporters like you. So with that said, once again, thank you so much. And I'm Daniel, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.